Thank you for tuning in to the YouTube channel of the National Association of Flight Instructors. My name is Sarah Stout. I'm the Program Development Manager here at NAFI. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our NAFI members for their generous contributions that make this content possible. Let's jump into the content. This month brings a wide variety of updates and changes to an array of publications. Here's what we'll cover in this video. First, an update to the U.S. address final rule we covered extensively in the last video. Next, a clarification statement on the 61-199 reinstatement by FIRC option. There's 2 advisory circular updates and a number of airman testing updates, including a few revised handbooks and changes to helicopter knowledge tests. Last month, we spent a good bit of time covering a new FAA rule requiring holders of U.S. Airman certificates issued under certain parts to have a U.S. address on record with the FAA or designate a U.S. agent for service. At that time, the rule was set to come into effect in 2 phases, with the first being on January 6, 2025. That portion of the rule has been delayed and will now come into effect on April 2nd, 2025. The second phase, effective July 17th, 2025, remains unchanged. There's a link to the extension of compliance date notice on the Federal Register in the description box. When the FAA published the final rule removing CFI expiration dates and introducing the new option to reinstate via FERC if your CFI certificate had not been expired or recency lapsed by more than 3 calendar months, there was initial confusion on who that 3 calendar month reinstatement window would be available to. Would it include CFIs who had expired prior to the effective date of the new rule, or only to those whose expiration dates were after the effective date of the rule? On January 1st, 2025, the FAA posted a clarification statement notifying the CFI community that yes, CFIs whose certificates expired before the effective date of the final rule, but who were still within the 3 calendar month window after their expiration date, can reinstate their CFI recency via FERC. Reach out to your preferred FERC provider if you'd like to exercise this option. A link to the clarification statement is in the description box. Let's move on to advisory circulars. On January 3rd, the FAA published an updated version of Advisory Circular 00-65 Alpha, Towbar, and Towbarless movement of aircraft. It's an editorial update with changes primarily in the beginning sections of related FARs and other reading materials. Advisory Circular 90-114, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast Operations, was updated on January 14, 2025, bringing its current version to AC 90-114 Charlie. Several of the updates were editorial in nature. The previous version was published in 2019 before the ADSB mandate was in effect. There were numerous places where the mandate effective date, January 1st, 2020, was written in the future tense. The new version discusses the requirement in the present tense. Several paragraphs discussing the authorization and use of ADSB equipment under various TSO numbers have been updated. There's also a new paragraph on the operation of aircraft with dual ADSB outlinks and another new paragraph on the operation of unmanned aircraft. This document is long, 84 pages, and highly technical in some areas. Sections 2 through 4 are the most applicable to flight instructors. There's even this handy graphic for teaching ADSB out required airspace. You'll also want to check out a few of the appendices on definitions, ADSB in, and related reading materials. There are a handful of airman testing updates to cover this month. The first is that as of December 2024, the FAA has issued a new version of the Aviation Weather Handbook. The summary of changes in this update is a bulleted list that's over a page long. The book does say that several of them are editorial updates, but also encourages readers to go through the handbook and each bullet point one by one to thoroughly understand all of the changes. As of December 26, 2024, The Balloon Flying Handbook and the Glider Flying Handbook have new versions. This is the first time either of these handbooks has been updated in at least 11 years. The FAA's December Airman Testing Community Advisory newsletter provides a list of the changes in each handbook. There's also a new version of the ACS Companion Guide to pilots. The update removes an errant ACS code from the archived codes section of the document. Effective January 27th, 2025, 4 helicopter knowledge tests were updated to include questions on the new ACS tasks for commercial and flight instructor applicants. The 2 new tasks are flight solely by reference to instruments and recovery from unusual flight attitudes. The impacted knowledge tests are commercial pilot helicopter Canadian conversion, commercial pilot helicopter, flight instructor helicopter, and flight instructor helicopter added rating. Also effective January 27th, 2025, are changes to the time limits on 3 helicopter knowledge tests. The private pilot helicopter allowed test time is reduced to 150 minutes from 180. The instrument rating helicopter and the commercial pilot helicopter allowed test time are reduced to 120 minutes from 150. Links to the handbooks and Airman Testing Community Advisory are in the video description. Thank you for joining NAFI for this month's update. If you aren't already a NAFI member, please consider joining us at nafinet.org. And once again, thank you to all of our NAFI members whose continued support make this content possible. We'll see you again next month.